On this episode, we continue our review of the all-new Disney Wish in part 2 of a 2-part series. Today is October 7th, 2022, and this is episode 502 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MainSTMagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. With lots of holiday dining coming up, including the Candlelight Processional just going on sale yesterday morning. We know that it can often be very frustrating, overwhelming to get those must-have Disney dining reservations. But the good news is Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. You can head to msmfriends.com to use this free service. And then if you're getting ready to plan that next Disney or Universal vacation, looking to go on a cruise, or pretty much travel anywhere else in the world, head to mainstmagictravel.com and fill out a form for a free quote. Our travel services are completely free to you. And then finally, we have a very limited edition of our Be Nice to Cast Members shirts. They are in hand, ready to ship. We have them in red and black. Not only does it have Be Nice to Cast Members on the front, but it's got the Main Street Magic logo on the back as well. These are very limited in the number that we have in each size. So if you head to mainstmagic.com/store, you can pick yours up starting at $22, and that is with free shipping. All right, Rhonda, let's go ahead and continue our review of the Disney Wish.
Yay.
So we left off last episode covering the room service and the breakfast in the morning. And we had recommended, put that little tag on your door at night for that continental breakfast in the morning, right? Just to get you started.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you have a veranda.
Oh, yeah. It's the perfect place to have your coffee or, tea, have a bagel, pastries, whatever you're going to get with that. So this was now Saturday. This is technically day 2 after one night. You really get 2 full days, both Saturday and Sunday. You got that kind of evening on Friday, and then they're going to kick you out Monday morning right after breakfast.
Yep.
So one of the things that I was really excited for the Disney cruise was hearing about the meet and greets, and that there's all these just walk around characters. And if you pass Spider-Man in the hallway one day, he's going to remember you the next day. I don't know if this is a change with the Disney Wish or this is a change in general since, coming still back out with some of the restrictions from COVID. But what did we find? Yeah, this was the only time, when we first gathered and we were at the Bayou Friday morning, Donald was coming by because Rachel loves Donald, but she was wearing all Mickey gear.
Yes.
Now he was heading on his way though, somewhere. It wasn't just like a wandering character.
Correct.
And he did stop and interact with her and all, which was awesome. But then what did we experience the rest of the time for characters?
Well, unfortunately for, I guess, us and everybody else, they were lines. Excuse me, lots and lots of lines. We went to meet Ant-Man, and what'd you say, 30 to 45 minutes?
Yeah, it's good, 40 minutes. The part of that was waiting for him to get there. And is in this, it's in this superhero awesome section. And from what I noticed, and again, maybe I wasn't, and we'll tell you at the end of this, the things that we learned.
This to me was a learning cruise.
Yeah. And I was actually, I saw our neighbor, Ray, the other morning, and he was like, how was the cruise? And I said, my biggest mistake, which is so unlike me, was not researching anything because I wanted to be surprised by everything.
And how'd that turn out for you?
I had no clue what I was doing on the ship. And so by the time we start getting into the Navigator app and we start looking at what there is, you're just like, oh, wait, this thing's in 15 minutes. Oh, no, but this other one's in 40. How are we going to get from here to there? And so that even would come, I think, with the meet and greets. Not all of them were listed. Ant-Man was, Spider-Man was going to follow him, but you were then reforming in the queue.
Because we left and the line was so long that we were like, yeah, we're not going to stand in this. And then we went to try to ride the Aqua Mouse.
Yeah.
And that
not getting past Ant-Man. I will say we did wait for Ant-Man, and it was awesome. I mean,
yes, it was.
I'd heard that these characters are incredible. The interaction, he even was because we had Lacey with us, and he was even like, "Oh, she reminds me so much of Cassie at that age."
Yes.
And and we ended up talking about the blip, and it was such a wonderful interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I missed not seeing other Marvel characters, and we'll talk about another character we did encounter later. But after the next day, I wish that it was what I thought it would be from what everybody else had told me. That these were these wandering characters you could kind of interact with on your way from one place to another. You would see multiple times. You could easily get maybe some photos. And that just wasn't the case, which is fine. I just think it's one of those where planning really would have come, into play here, which I just didn't do. And you can't roll your eyes at me. You didn't either. We did nothing.
I don't ever plan.
I know.
Ever. You're the one who does.
And I just wanted to be surprised. I didn't want to see videos. I didn't want to know what the inside of restaurants looked like. I didn't want to know what was on their menus. I just wanted this to be those first and it all be a surprise. And I will say it 100% backfired. So I would not recommend going into this blind. I would at least do some research. And here's my whole thing. I said, all right, here's what we could have done is day one, whether it was just our family or it was our awesome group of 10, we could have sat down and just said, hey, let's all gather like in the bayou and let's all sit down and say, what's most important to you? What's most important to you? What's most important to you? Here's what we think. Are you guys interested? I noticed they have trivia a lot. Oh, nope. You're not big on trivia. Okay. But you do love the little game show thing they do. You do want to meet characters. You very want to make sure that you spend time at the pool. Like, I think you're going to have to look at that because, this is definitely not fly by the seat of your pants. No Disney Vacation is. I don't know why I thought it would be different. I thought it was just for whatever reason. So I want to put that out there, because that was a huge error on my part.
Okay.
But I can admit when I'm wrong, and I'm admitting I was wrong.
Okay, good
and
job.
That's probably why these 3 nights felt so incredibly short. Is because we spent most of the time going, what's there to do next? Now we got to waste time looking for stuff and then get to it.
Mm-hmm.
What we did not waste time doing, though, was meeting Lucy and Caleb up at the adults only Cove Pool and Bar.
Yeah, that was cool. But as every cruise that I've ever been on, the pools, I don't know why, are freezing.
Mm-hmm.
Freezing. So to me, I was very cold. It took me quite some time to get in, but it was really neat because it was up top and it had an infinity edge and it was all clear. So it reminded me actually of the Jaguars stadium pools, but I have not been in that and I won't get in that.
I really enjoyed this and it was nice and quiet up there and we got to just hang out with them for a little bit. This is the day that we are going to stop at Nassau.
Mm-hmm.
And we had made a decision to not get off the boat.
Yes.
For us, there was just really no interest in visiting Nassau when we had such a short trip. And we really wanted to experience the boat like the Cove Pool and Bar.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was so cool is you forget you're so high up, you're looking at the infinity edge and just a bird flies by.
Mm-hmm.
And for a second, you're like, why is there a bird down here? And then you're like, oh, we're in his territory, aren't we?
Way up high.
Something else I was super surprised about is the price for alcoholic beverages is really good.
Mm-hmm.
They have a drink of the day. Mm-hmm. On this day, it was the Yellow Bird. Mm-hmm. And it is $5.50 for a mixed cocktail. They're going to automatically add gratuity. So I think it came out to $6.49 for one of these. And everything else from, we talked about the waters in that cooler that's included, in the last episode, everything from beers to cocktails, wine, all that is super well priced when you consider what we pay at Disney World.
Yes.
Don't you think?
100%. Absolutely.
So one of the things that we had signed up for ahead of time, because you can sign up for all these different things in the app. Most things were sold out by the time we were able to sign up for them because they're giving priority to people who have cruised before. And we were trying last minute to get some like cocktail tastings or champagne tasting and just couldn't make it work. But there was a free tour offered that we signed up for. Mm-hmm. Rhonda's going to start rolling her eyes now because this is so up my alley, is the Walking the Wish tour. Mm-hmm. And this meets right there by the night bar there, but in the atrium area.
Yes.
And it is a guided tour of parts of the Wish, and they'll give you some behind the scenes, explain different things. I guess talk
They
about
don't
this
take
because
you behind the scenes.
No, you really don't go behind any scenes. So we'll talk about it, I guess, if starting from our malfunctions.
Well, yeah. So they tried to do where, because there's such a big group, like you've seen, if you see any tours in Walt Disney World where they have the earpiece and, you know, you see this group and you're not hearing somebody yell. And that's what she was trying to avoid. But unfortunately, like other people's were working. And then Jeremy and I went because ours wasn't. And then ours was the only ones to work.
Yeah, in the end, it was only the two of us. And this was a large group.
It was.
A lot of people gathered for this.
So it was super funny because then she was making kind of fun of us and was like, tell them your, what are they called? Like lotto numbers, and they'll pick them for you, because basically like we were like the lucky ones, apparently. So she scrapped that and then just started going on taking us around, and it was neat, but this is not something I love like Jeremy does. I wish that it would have been more of like a behind the scenes. I wish maybe they would have taken us all the way down to like where the like corridors are, where the people hang out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I wish it was different than what it was, and I personally was bored.
Yeah, you'd have to pay for that. I would pay for that.
Yeah.
I would pay for a literal behind the scenes. I find this stuff interesting because they'll talk about the architecture, they'll talk about the colors. She's talking about the designs. We went to several of the stairways on a few of the floors, and she pointed out what the painting was, who it was commissioned by, the reason that it was there. And I don't remember the colors exactly, but like, you know, if you're in a stairwell and the carpet is green, that you're towards the front of the boat. If it's blue, for example, you're towards the back of the boat. Like things like that interest me, but I can totally understand where other people might find it boring if you're expecting more of a Keys to the Kingdom style, truly behind the scenes tour. This is only going to take a small chunk out of your day. I would recommend you sign up for it if you're nerdy about stuff like that, because I did find it interesting. So just, again, something to look out for.
Well, it was hard for me too, because not only did you sign us up for this, which took, you know, an hour or so out of our day, but I was going to get my hair done and I wanted to eat and I wanted to go to lunch and shower and do all this stuff before. And I just felt like I was just being like, okay, great. This is something that I didn't want to do. And I lost stuff that I could have done elsewhere. So,
yeah, I mean, I feel like as we were kind of already saying, is that time is valuable.
mm-hmm.
I've never had more valuable time than on this vacation. Like, you're right. Every minute seems to matter as far as you feeling. And we've said a million times, we don't recommend the checklist. We don't recommend I have to do these things or my trip is not worth it. But boy, this felt like a giant checklist of things you really did want to do and accomplish. Like, even down to the dining, you know, there's so much of it. You're like, okay, the market up on the pool deck, there's sweets, there's barbecue, there's pizza, there's Mexican. You're like, okay, that right there is 3 lunches. Plus there's Marceline Market. Plus we have at least 3 dinners. And if we don't go for the extra paid. So it's just, there's so much to accomplish. I'm not trying to sum it up right now. We'll do it at the end. I'm going to say this is much like we've talked about, just say the Halloween party. Mickey's Not So Scary. It can't be accomplished in one trip. Yeah. This can't be accomplished in one cruise.
Right. And I would suggest too, like if, you know, like I should have just not gone with Jeremy and have him talk me into it because he wanted me to be with him, because that was not fun for me. And I would suggest if y'all are all together and somebody doesn't want to do something, then, you know, let them go do their own thing or be, and find something they want to do so they don't miss out, because especially this was a shorter cruise.
Yeah. Well, and that's like we said before, gather in the bayou on your first day and find out what's important to everyone, and then stick to the fact that you go, look, we don't all have to do the same stuff.
Right.
We're going to all gather for dinner. We're probably going to all meet at the pool deck at some point. We're all going to hang out and maybe do a trivia at one point, but let's make sure that everybody gets to do what they want to do. One of the things we got to do that I loved is trivia. And the first one we did was in Keg and Compass and the Marvel trivia.
Mm-hmm.
We did with Lucy and Caleb.
Yep. I like it because I usually never give like an answer.
Yeah.
I just like to be part of a winning team.
Yes.
And usually anytime I'm with the trivia people, like even when we do it here at Two Creeks, like we are pretty much like number 1, 2, 3 usually. So
yeah, Lucy absolutely killed it. Like I'm the type that I hear a question and I just process it for a second or two, and then I might know the answer. She had pen to paper before I could even get a word out on all these. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's it. I think we missed one in the end.
We did.
And we had a bonus point. So we lost by 1 point because somebody did get a perfect score.
Correct.
And they're giving these little like trivia medallions.
It was cute.
To the winner, which is really cool.
Sad we missed it.
But it was super fun. And all of the cast members that are hosting these things are absolutely outstanding.
Oh,
and they're
absolutely.
a blast.
Yes.
So I highly recommend that if you're somebody who loves to do trivia like me, who actually wants to answer and know things, or if you're somebody like Rhonda that just wants to experience it and be on a team, this is well worth marking a couple of these down, and they will all be in the app. So what was next for you that day? And talk about when we did get on board and having to make the change, because this will be one of the services that you booked ahead of time.
Yeah, so I wanted to experience the Untangled salon because being a hairdresser, I kind of wanted to see it and everything. It was very hard for me to think of spending the money when I could just do it myself. But I had to say, as everybody will say, treat yourself.
Yeah.
So I had it on Castaway Cay day. And I had one of my clients actually used to work on the Disney boats. And she told me, you do not want to do that. You want to spend almost all day at Castaway Cay. And I was like, okay, great. So I tried looking at switching my hair appointment and I couldn't. So when we got on the boat, we were kind of just walking around. At this point, we had our drinks and we were actually Caleb needed to change his appointment. So it was so neat because he was getting his like face shave and I don't think a hair done, but just face shave. And
over at Hooks Barbary.
And they were pretty much opposite of each other, just around the corner, but opposite of each other. So he was going over there. I was like, well, I'm going to go over here and see if I can't move it, I'll cancel it. So of course, all the cast members were amazing. And we were able to move it to the day on Bahamas, which I was like, yeah, I can pretty much do any time. And I think it was actually around the same time, around 2:00. So I was like, awesome, perfect. So after the trivia, I think at this point, I needed to eat and needed to go shower because
What did you eat that day? Because I ate while you were at this, and I went and did the tacos.
Yeah, I went up to Marceline Market, and they actually had lamb, which was just a big giant piece of lamb, and they cut it off. It was not very good to me.
Okay.
So I actually just went back and I started to get the seafood, but I just wasn't, I don't know. I was in a little sad mood because I didn't get to do some things I wanted to do. And I felt just bummed, I guess. So I was just like, I'm not in the mood for anything. So I got a salad, and the salad was really good though. And I ate that and then headed back to the room to shower because I was like, I'm not going to want to shower after I get my hair done. And I realized all that. So I ran back to the room and showered and got all ready and then went and put my Tangled dress on that I actually have and then went and got my hair done. And it was so funny because he was so sweet and said how pretty my hair was and everything was like pretty and because I already put my makeup on and everything. And yeah, so I got a shampoo blow dry, and
And how was all that?
amazing. The shampoo.
It looked incredible in
the
there.
shampoo was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So the same chair that I sit in, I don't go to a shampoo bowl. The shampoo bowl's right there. He kind of brings it over, and then my chair like folds back, and it was comfortable. It was nice. The shampoo was amazing. They actually massaged. I was telling Jennifer yesterday at work, they actually massage like we do and do all this stuff. And it was fantastic. And then, and then they blow dry, and then he actually curled my hair, and yeah,
Nice.
it was very nice. And the girls said I looked very pretty when I was done. So it was
You did.
very nice.
Would you do something like this again on another cruise? Or even now at Disney World? Like, would you go to one of the salons? No, you would not. You didn't feel it was worth your purchase because you could technically get this done any day?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the hardest part for me. I mean, it was $100 with tip and everything that I gave, because I gave a little extra for sure, because they do the same thing where and this is all over the boat pretty much, where it's really cool because whatever you get, they will put the price, they will put the gratuity, and then you are able to add more if you would like. So of course I added more because he was amazing and so sweet. Again, $100 for me, I think of like I could go and spend $100 in the place to buy blankets and like, more merch, or maybe Disney earrings that were a little on the more expensive side. I don't know. Like that's just unfortunately the way I think of things.
Would you recommend it to someone though that is not a hairdresser?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect.
That's the only reason I just would not do it again, because of the money and because I can do it. Because in all honesty too, like the next day, and I don't know if it was because I did go outside a couple of times, but my hair, when I do my hair, it will last 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, my hair was just done.
Well, that's probably kind of like, I don't know if this is a good analogy. That'd probably be like a, really good chef saying, I wouldn't go again and pay $80 for a steak at this restaurant because I can make it at home just as good, but you should as a person who's not a chef. Is
Absolutely.
that kind of like okay.
Absolutely.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
And it was wonderful. And again, I did treat myself, and it was amazing. And was it worth it at that moment? And because I am a busy person and I don't get my hair done often, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Still worth it. 100%.
Awesome. Good.
But
good.
I'm just that type that was like, oh, like I bought my Pandora bracelet, or well, not bracelet, the beads.
Yeah.
There was 3 beads that went on a Pandora bracelet that I bought, and that I set money aside for that.
Right.
But again, if it was like, oh, you can get this Pandora or you can get your hair done. Oh, no, please give me Pandora.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, as I mentioned before, while you were doing that, I did go get lunch. I got the tacos. You can choose. You get 3 of them. You can choose between beef, chicken, and pork, I believe it was. And I got all 3. And then they've got their own little toppings bar there with salsas and like a corn salsa and sour cream and lettuce and all these things. So I loaded up on all those. And then they have a bar next to that that's self-serve with all these different hot sauces and sauces.
Oh, wow.
And so I did a separate one on each of the 3 tacos. I absolutely loved these. I thought it was probably my favorite quick service thing that I did.
Oh, wow.
What I also love up there on the pool deck though is the pizza, which I love this because I probably had 3 slices of pizza over the course of the weekend. And it was kind of one where I would just walk by. I was like, even one time I think I was headed to the bathroom or something, and I came back and I was like, I have a slice of pizza.
I thought you got a whole one.
Yeah, we did for the one night. I'm talking about walking past. I brought a whole one back the one night, but I'm talking about just walking past. Because then the one day I got cheese, I did pepperoni, and then the one day they had it had shaved prosciutto on it, a little arugula, and balsamic glaze.
Ooh,
and that was outstanding. And what was good is that they actually you said, I'll have I forget what they were calling it exactly, but I think they might have been calling it a Capri pizza or something. But I was like, I'll have the prosciutto pizza. And they take a fresh hot cheese slice and then he pulls out the prosciutto and layers it on
Oh,
the
wow.
arugula, and then right there does the balsamic glaze and gives it to you. So it's that hot cold
Oh,
factor.
that's awesome.
And the prosciutto is not like baked into
Mm-hmm.
the pizza where it gets kind of crispy and stuff, which is also delicious. But the only thing I did not try up there was the barbecue. So I did miss out on the barbecue, unfortunately.
Were you sad?
I would have liked to have tried it. I'll be honest. I just, barbecue for me is not this like, I don't know. I feel like barbecue in the South, especially, it's almost like this cult. I'm just not big on, I like barbecue. I think it's delicious, but I'm not the type to be like, I got to find the world's best barbecue. And every time I go to a place in the South, people will be like, you got to go to this barbecue place. I'm like, do I? Maybe I just want something different.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have liked to have tried it, but we would end up having some on Castaway Cay that we'll talk about in just a bit that I'm assuming was pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned you put on your Tangled dress for Untangled.
Mm-hmm.
We had already been dressed that morning. We kind of treated this trip like we were hosting the Oscars. Right? I mean, I think this day alone, we changed at least 4 times because then we got dressed up to go see The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
And so talk about that.
Well, Jeremy wore his Eric bound, and I wore my Little Mermaid bound outfit dress. And we went to watch The Little Mermaid. That's like a Broadway play. And we went with Kim and Kaylin, and it was me and Jeremy. And we sat upstairs, and I thought it was fantastic. And if this is anything, giving a little glimpse to what the live action movie will be, holy moly, I am stupid excited about this. I thought it was fantastic, and everything was so good. The cast was amazing, and they actually, like, at one part, they were actually talking to Eric, and he talked about his mother that was passed away and that she was a good singer. And that's why he loves, like, hearing people sing. And I mean, it was amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I mean, that's so what Disney does with the live action. They kind of like talk more about the unseen. Yeah. Where, you don't know, Eric never had a mom, and then so yeah, I'm just super, super excited.
And not that I expected any less, but I'm absolutely blown away that this level of production, size of theater and all is just happening on a boat.
Yep.
I mean, it really,
it was a 2-story theater.
Gorgeous. And I this is much more of a production. This is much more lengthy than, for example, Beauty and the Beast in Hollywood Studios.
Correct.
But talk about, which is done very well,
mm-hmm.
very, very well. But talk about just absolute night and day, where it is like truly sitting down for a Broadway production, or an off-Broadway production, I should say.
Yes, it
so
was.
That was super cool. We did not end up being able to make the time for Aladdin.
No, and I was really kind of sad, but I'm super happy I saw The Little Mermaid. But when we were leaving, one of the guys asked, did you see any of the Broadway plays? And I was like, yeah, we saw Little Mermaid. And then he was like, not Aladdin? And I was like, no. And he was like, man, that genie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man. Like, I was thinking, dang, that sucks. But, hey, that's why there's always next time.
Yeah. All right. So then on to our next rotational dining, which would be Arendelle, a frozen dining adventure. We are in Arendelle to celebrate the engagement of Kristoff and Anna.
Yes.
One thing I will say, that were you still on the tour when we went through there for the Walking the Wish tour? Yeah. We got to walk all through there with it completely empty and see the setup and walk through the restaurant, which was really, really cool to see, because by this evening it was going to be jam packed.
And it was.
The World of Marvel, I thought, was really well themed, and it was cool, but it didn't give me a specific feeling of being in like a Marvel movie. It just gave me a feeling like I was in somewhere themed to Marvel.
Yeah.
This made me feel like I was in Arendelle. Like you were right inside the movie. Like, for example, when they're doing the coronation, like that whole feel of everything.
Yes.
Lots of familiar paintings and faces, and it was awesome.
It was amazing.
What'd you think first off of like the show?
Oh, it was outstanding. This was my favorite
Yeah.
night, I think, because it was also pirate night.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all dressed up as pirates because I wasn't.
That's fourth outfit change.
I wasn't like, all right, you wanted to do something else for dinner and then change. And I'm like, no, there's probably not going to be enough time. I'm wearing my pirate stuff. So I did. And it was fantastic and it was fun. Unfortunately, this was the night that Lacey started not feeling very good. So I missed a few things because I had to take her back to the room. She did get sick later that night, but the next morning when we were like, are you okay? Is there, because I didn't know if it was motion, but she already had the patch on at this point. And she woke up the next night and she's like, no, it was fine. She was like, I just had some acid reflux.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? I'm like, I didn't even know she had that. And she just blew it completely off. But there was a couple of parts through the night, unfortunately, that it was a little rough, with dealing with her. But other than that, this was my most favorite everything. The show.
Yeah.
I think I really liked the food. And I say that with, of course there's always where you can start off with an appetizer, you can have a salad or a soup, and then you can have entrees, and you can pick anything on the entrees. In fact, if you want a couple of them, you can pick. So they had for the appetizer part, they had some scallops, which I knew Jeremy would love and get.
I'm always getting scallops, especially if they're included.
Absolutely. And then they had a asparagus, and I was like, I love asparagus. I'm going to go ahead and get this. They had a cheese tart, and they had, a hot smoked salmon, something else. But I was like, you know what? I just love asparagus, and Disney always does things right. So that's what I got. And I really liked it. It was a cute little tiny appetizer.
It was like three asparagus, or they asparaguses.
I have no idea, but it was really good, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
How was your scallops?
Loved them. Yeah,
good.
I mean, Disney just does scallops well. I always say that in the festivals, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And nice big plump scallops. They cook them always perfectly, right on that edge of not getting overdone, but not being underdone. You also did a soup. Correct?
I did, because I have never had a split pea soup, and this was
I feel like it's for good
yellow
reason.
pea soup.
Yeah.
It is pulled ham hock and then a pink something. I don't know that word, but I unfortunately did not like it.
Yeah.
It didn't taste like pea. I like peas. That's why I wanted it. It tasted like a bean.
Okay.
Like it tasted like a bean soup. Like I tasted it a couple of times because I was like, what is that like taste? It wasn't awful. I just didn't like
care for it.
So I ate 2-3 bites when I really realized this tastes like a bean to me soup. I just discarded it and was like, I'm done. But
Okay.
there was also a carrot soup. I think somebody else on the table got and actually kind of liked it. So, yeah. Yeah,
no. What we can kind of talk entrees and some of the standouts. One of the things that I absolutely loved was the braised meatballs. There was a rosemary cream reduction, egg noodles, nice big thick egg noodles, or wide egg noodles, I should say, and then lingonberry chutney.
I think this is what I got.
Yeah, and I feel like I ended up eating most of it.
I think you did.
This was Swedish meatballs.
This is good.
But
Very good.
really well done, homemade Swedish meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with the ones you can get at IKEA, but maybe we should get those this weekend and let Kaylin try them when we take her to IKEA for her room. But yeah, I absolutely loved this.
Yeah. It was really good. There was some other things, like you have a sea bass, you have a ribeye, you have a pork tenderloin, and I do believe you got one of those.
Yeah, I think it was a pork tenderloin with the potatoes.
And it was good.
Yes.
Very good.
But I would have preferred to have ordered the meatballs and had the whole thing to myself. But like I said, I think I ended up eating most of your dish.
Yes. And I believe that, of course, somebody else got the ribeye, and I think it was very good. I think everything at this point was just really good. You did eat it because I had to leave. That's right.
Yeah.
And I was already kind of like fine to leave, so I didn't need to eat more. But I will go on. We can move on to dessert real quick if you want to, because that was phenomenal.
Yeah. So what you loved was their ice cream sundae, and it is Elsa's Coronation Sundae: mint chocolate chip ice cream, marshmallows, fresh whipped cream, and snowflakes.
It was so good.
You really
so
loved
refreshing. This. Yes, I think I ate the whole thing possibly, because at this point Lacey was back in the room. And nobody was really trying to take it from me.
Yeah.
But all the desserts were really pretty, and they seemed, everybody said they were really good.
Yeah. So, overall, this entire meal was very well liked by our entire group. Now, I don't know if that was coming off a not so great meal at World of Marvel the night before, because what's so interesting, and Lucy told me this, I haven't gotten to listen to anything yet. Touring Plans and Lynn Testa and Jim Hill, they were all on this same cruise. Mm-hmm. And this was their least favorite of the dining rotation.
Wow.
So, that's where with all these types of reviews, I wouldn't want anyone to go to World of Marvel and be like, you guys are idiots. This was incredible, because it might be. It just, for us, it didn't hit. Same thing with this. I'd hate for someone to show up and be like, they said this was the best meal, of the whole weekend or something, and it not be.
Right.
But it's all subjective, and it's all dependent on what your likes are, what your overall experience is. And that's the thing with these, is that with World of Marvel, the overall experience wasn't great, just because they didn't think the show was that good. They were taking our order while the show started. Ant-Man and Wasp just walked through at the very end. You didn't really get to see them much. I don't know if that then goes towards the food not being as good. You know what I mean? If you've already gotten this lessened experience, does it then transfer onto the meal?
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, if we had walked in and Ant-Man had been right there, like, let me show you to your table, and then you'd got to the table and there was, a giant loaf of bread, like they had blown it up, or there was a tiny little loaf of bread with little butters and little like plates, and not like, I missed out on the whole. I wish they'd done this much more of, I know we're going back to it now, but I wish they just had done this more of like a Pim's test kitchen, where it looks like the either ant-sized food or whatever. Right. And so maybe at that point, things would have been better. From the moment we walked in here, it was a celebration. It was a party. It was full out frozen in your face.
It was amazing.
And I think that helped reflect on the food. I really do. Yeah. You sat down and you're like, I'm getting like Swedish meatballs in Arendelle while I'm watching Oaken, introduce Anna and Kristoff, and they're dancing and like coming by the table and greeting you, which you didn't get with World of Marvel.
Right.
So I just think that all of these are full experiences. Whereas when we get to talk about Palo in a little bit, that's much more to the food. And the experience comes secondary. I think these are experience first, food secondary.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. With that.
This night, I also went ahead and had a couple drinks at dinner, and I had a nice dirty martini, and it was fantastic, very well done. And then we were kind of like, we still got some time to stay up tonight, man. So we went ahead, and me, Kim, and Lucy all got oh my gosh,
espresso martinis.
Thank you. It just left my brain for half a second. Espresso martinis.
It is hard to beat a good espresso martini.
And it was super good.
Yeah.
Super good.
I always go back, and I think the first one I ever had, and didn't realize at the time, Ken, who's become one of our favorites at Bar Riva, used to work up in the little coffee shop in the lobby of Riviera. And you had gone back to the room, and Kat and Kaylin and I continued on, and we went and sat in the lobby of Riviera and went and got espresso martinis. And Ken was the one who was making them and serving them to us. And we only realized it later once he moved down to Bar Riva. But
that's funny.
Yes. And especially that is one of those good, like you said, you're like, all right, we still got all pirate night, still got the fireworks at sea. There's still some time to go. Maybe we need a little kick of something extra. And that's the way to do it, I think, is with an espresso martini. So next is going to be the fireworks at sea, the show out on the deck. They're at the pool.
Yes.
Full live band. You've got Red.
It was super cool.
Fireworks, the only cruise that shoots off fireworks. And
do you know why they can shoot off fireworks?
No, I do not, Rhonda. Enlighten me. Because they're Disney?
When they shoot them off, they are fish food. They have
Oh, that's right. I remember someone was telling us that. Yeah, that it actually feeds the fish, which is pretty amazing.
that dumb Wish thing you went on.
Oh, it did tell us that on there? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. You can't say it's dumb.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it wasn't dumb.
And it is neat because around you, all these other cruise ships know like where to park so they can catch them as well. They're not getting the full onboard show and the music and everything and the Pirates of the Caribbean music. And
I didn't see ships around us. There was?
I didn't know. I did not see them, but I think
Oh.
it was Lucy was saying that they'll dock all around because they know where to be, basically. I mean, we're just off of
funny.
Nassau and stuff at this point. So, very, very cool. I mean, and you know, you're certainly not going to get the same show and display as you do in a park, but boy, they're not holding back.
They were amazing.
At all.
It was great.
I loved the show on the stage.
Yeah.
Like, and Red coming out and singing, and yeah, a full band playing rock music and the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song.
Yes.
It was just super cool. So definitely something you do not want to miss.
No, not at all. Super fun.
We're moving into our final full day
Mhm.
here. And this is going to be our Castaway Cay day.
Yes.
Castaway Cay was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It was so neat that it's Disney's island. Like, that was super cool.
And it's no joke. Like, this is huge. I mean, we only saw a very, very, very tiny portion of what there is to offer because we went and we got some chairs right away on the beach there.
Yep.
There are, as we came through, there's, first of all, there are photo opportunities.
Yeah.
Right there. We passed Daisy and Donald, which was really cool, as they're kind of like walking. They came off the back of a Jeep, wasn't it? That pulled up, and then they walked across, and they were kind of standing there for photo ops. And then there's one large beach area that has some children's play climbing stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one that I'm just going to say is a little more adult, just because I feel like most of the kids were gravitating towards that first beach area because of the stuff that was in the water. Don't you agree a little bit?
Yeah, but then the other one that had a slide, and there was the giant thing
I know,
in
which
the
we never
water,
made it out to.
Lacey did.
Lacey did the slide,
Mhm.
and she climbed some of the things after hamming it up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We did rent floats,
Uh-huh.
which I would recommend. Would you?
Absolutely.
And there's both tubes and there's like
Mats. I call them
There you
mats.
go. That's what I would call them. So we went ahead and rented those. Rhonda had rented for Kaylin to do a paddleboard experience, which she absolutely loved.
Loved it.
It is, I mean, it's what you'd expect. It's beautiful, crystal clear water.
You can see the fish.
Yes, we
Big
saw those little
fish.
needle-nosed fish
But we saw
swimming
big
through.
fish, too.
Like right up there by the shore. Each of the little areas is roped off, which is kind of nice. So you're not going to go out too far, but there are areas you can go way out, and there's lifeguards out there.
Yeah.
There's
So
an
I guess,
entire
like-
stingray section
Yeah.
that you can pay for to go like pet the stingrays.
Swim with them. Oof.
I absolutely loved this. Lunch is included at Cookie's Barbecue.
Yes.
Talk about what's available at Cookie's Barbecue. Just line up buffet. Just go
That
get
was super
whatever the
neat.
heck you want.
Yeah, there were some chips, which was super cool because they were bagged and you could just grab
a couple of them.
if you want. But yeah, I mean, there was some ribs, there was hot dogs, hamburgers, there's chicken and actual salmon. I got a cheeseburger. And then I got some ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had red skin potato salad, sweet corn potato salad, salad, corn on the cob. They had coleslaw. I think I got almost all of that.
They also had a macaroni salad.
I got that too.
It was more of a Italian based one, not like a mayonnaise based one. It was my favorite thing. Was actually the macaroni salad. Chicken was very well done. Very tender, delicious chicken, rotisserie style. Yeah, this was. Well, first of all, I mean, we're in the Caribbean. This is Disney's island. So again, picture just everything about the Caribbean. Take Caribbean Beach Resort and throw it on Disney's own private island, and that's exactly what you get. Down from the colors, the theming, the feel, the music, the cast members, uniforms and all. I just loved it. And then here you are. It's basically this backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
That is all these communal collective picnic tables all set out. There's drink stations and, fountain drink stations and water all set out everywhere to enjoy. This was such a cool experience.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is now that, we talk about this being such a short trip, is by 2:00, we're like, oh, I know we could have a couple hours on here and we're really enjoying ourselves and we're relaxing, but we feel like we need to get back on the boat. There's trivia coming up and there's game shows and there's places we haven't even seen.
But we did get off the boat when we were allowed, which I do believe was between 8:30 and 9.
Yes, we got off as soon as we could.
Yes. And so we were there for quite some time.
4 or 5 hours.
There was some clouds moving in, some thunder that sounded pretty harsh. Yeah. And the one thing I was shocked at is they weren't telling us to get out of the water.
Yeah, I know.
That was a little different for me. But then at this point, Kaylin was like, I'm pretty much done. So I was going to walk her completely back anyways.
Right.
So, and I mean, it was good. We had some good time on there.
And we had the most, up until that moment, we had the most perfect weather because it was not blistering hot, but the water felt good. Like you could just sit out. You weren't sweltering. You weren't, we didn't even put on sunscreen, I don't think. Or did we?
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay. I can't remember, but
burnt
I would have.
Didn't.
There's lots of shaded areas. There's a lot
of umbrellas.
There's a lot of umbrellas, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by shaded. But I really, really loved Castaway Cay. This is where I want to do. I believe it's when you get up to their 5-day that they add a day at sea and they add a second Castaway Cay day. That's what I think would be. I'm sorry, 5 nights. So it'd be 6-day technically. That's what I think would be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And to do the same thing, go from 9 to 1 both days.
Yeah.
As opposed to going from 9 till they let you back on the boat at 4 or 5 or whatever it is. But you definitely want to experience this.
Yeah. And when you do come in, we did probably forget to mention that all the merch that going in is right there from Castaway Cay, and we bought a bunch of that, which I'm happy that we did immediately instead of waiting or whatever. Yeah. And then there was the soft serve ice cream on the Castaway Cay.
How does it compare to your Disney World ice cream?
Oh, it's amazing. But this one was a vanilla and banana swirl I got, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I loved it. So Caribbean-y, light, and just, it was so good. And then we did, I know we're on today, but we did forget, the day before on Saturday, we also saw Hook that night, Captain Hook. We saw Tiana.
Yes.
Kim stood in line for the Sanderson sisters, which is Clarabelle, Cal, Daisy, and Minnie for about 45. She was 45 minutes before it started, and then we probably waited another 5 minutes or so before we got to see them, and that was fun. And back to the characters real quick and the lines. They also have, and they had all the princesses, but what the coolest part was with that one is you stood in this very long line.
You had to reserve that though, correct? I thought that was one you actually reserved on the app. I could be wrong.
I don't,
because it was like a carousel of princesses.
But it was a carousel where you would get in line and then you would literally go from this princess to the next, to the next, to the next. And I thought that was super cool.
That's what I wish Marvel had been.
Mm-hmm.
That morning is you go through and there's Ant-Man and then Spider-Man and Thor and whatever it may be, where you and even if you did have to reserve a time.
Oh, 100%.
And I know we kind of sounded like we were bashing the way meet and greets were. Not at all. All these lines moved very fast, I felt like, for the most part. Yeah. They were all very well organized. Yeah. It just wasn't what I think we expected based on what we had heard. That's all.
Correct.
If meeting characters is your thing, you're going to have an opportunity to meet a lot, and you're going to meet a lot of really cool ones. Yeah. Meeting Tiana was awesome. It's been years since we've interacted with her in the parks, and a lot of times that was during like a Halloween party or during very rare times in Magic Kingdom. She has always been so super interactive and so personable and just really, really good. And this one was awesome as well.
She was. Very much.
Rhonda was embarrassing me in front of her, which I appreciate. Let's go on to our dinner at Palo.
Yeah, so we got back on the boat and we had a dinner at Palo that was supposed to seat us at 6:30, correct?
5:30.
5:30. Because we were going to try to make our 8:15 dinner with everybody at 1923.
Yeah, and this was going to be you, myself, Lucy, and Caleb that were doing Palo.
Because again, we'd pick this time, and because Lucy told me, because then we were literally going to go sit, and even if we wouldn't have eaten anything at 1923, we would have sat with everybody. So so we got ready and we all got fancy because Palo is a very nice dinner. Lucy showed me the dress she bought, so I went ahead and bought a dress too, and we curled her hair, and
it's fun getting a little fancy.
It was super fun. You wore your suit.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like out of place. I mean, this is signature fine dining on a cruise ship. What I love about this, first of all, Marco, our server, was the absolute best.
He was.
If you go back to the 500th episode, we have a little appearance by Marco.
Mm-hmm.
Just super friendly and knowledgeable and interactive. To me, it's one of those experiences where you feel like you've almost been given a private server.
Oh, 100%.
You know, with how attentive they are
Yes.
and just in tune to everything, because
Yes.
this is the one night we're not going to have our rotational server.
Correct.
Obviously, you're gonna get a different one. So what they have though, they have this prezzo fiso, which is you get one dish from each course. So you get the antipasti, ensalada, the segundo, and a dulce. This is $45 per person,
Mm-hmm.
which I remember Lucy first sending this to me, and I'm like, I'm so confused. How is this only $45 a person? We're at Signature Fine Dining, and you're going to give us a 4-course meal for $45 a person. I'm like, what's the catch? And there is no catch.
Mm-mm.
That's what's incredible. In fact, there is an additional menu as well that you can add on a la carte, which we did do the Wagyu beef.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so talk about this calamari dish, which is, okay, it's calamari, jumbo shrimp, not jumbo shrimps, because it doesn't need to be more than one, lemon garlic mayonnaise, and a marinara.
It was fantastic. There were there was one, because I gave it to you.
Tentacles.
There was one tentacle
Yeah.
that I was like, ugh. But they had the rest of the rings. I love the garlic mayonnaise because I love that kind of stuff. It was good in either one. And then this jumbo shrimp, I mean, was it 3 inches?
It's the biggest.
Big?
It's the biggest shrimp
It was
that
huge.
I've ever been served in a restaurant.
It was absolutely.
I mean, we have a photo of Rhonda holding it up in front of her face, and it takes up
Giant.
like half of her face. It looks like a baby's arm.
It does. It is so funny. We'll put it on.
And it's
Under
bread,
this,
lightly
but
breaded and fried.
and
This
it
was
was so
super
good.
delicious. The 2 salads. There's a crisp romaine hearts that had quail eggs.
Mhm, that was good. That was the one I got. And the quail eggs were good because they weren't raw.
Yeah.
And they were nicely cooked, and it was
Yeah, they're
very
hard
good.
boiled, and this was really good. And it's a wedge salad. I mean, it's really like the whole romaine heart being served and then layered
Yep.
with everything, and the quail eggs on the bottom and croutons. And then I really enjoyed the baby arugula salad that had tons of shaved Parmesan Reggiano on top of it, and then like a light white balsamic, some olive oil, some virgin olive oil. This was super good and refreshing to start the meal. You got the panette pasta.
Mm-hmm.
How
I
was this?
Oh, it was super good. It was a tomato basil sauce, which I love that. And of course, you know, your Parmigiano Reggiano. And it was great. It was simple.
Yeah.
But it was so just good.
And that's what, you know, and again, we're going back. If you go to the last episode, we were piecing this thing together in some ways because we just had so much food and I didn't take any notes throughout the course of this. And just looking at the photo, it is so lightly sauced, which is perfect. So you taste the pasta. They're not drowning in sauce. They're not trying to cover anything up. Everything is super fresh tasting. I ended up going with the 6-ounce grilled choice Angus beef tenderloin. This was an absolutely wonderful steak. In fact, the a la carte Wagyu that Lucy ordered that we all had was very, very good, very, very tender, but I actually liked my steak overall better than the Wagyu beef. So you still could try that as an add-on, but I would certainly recommend the steak. What did you get to drink? What was that?
I had a actual dirty martini again.
Okay.
Lucy had that spritz thing that she liked, and you got some balsamic.
It was very
strawberry
interesting.
Drink.
Yeah. These are one of those, and I don't mean this in a negative way. It's a one and done drink. Not that it's not good. you just wouldn't probably have more than one of these because it's a very interesting flavor. It's almost like a puree, and then you have the taste of the balsamic. Like, yeah, it's almost like having a fruity Capri. Okay. If that makes any sense. It almost makes me want to actually try that. Like, I wonder if it would be good to actually at home slice strawberries, do a little bit of mozzarella with it, and then do mint instead of basil and do some balsamic on it. That might actually be good. And I think we might have all those things except the mint. I might want to try that. Okay. We could pick up some mint when we go to the new Publix. By the way, our new Publix opened and it has a bar. It's not a full bar. It's serving beer and wine. It's a coffee bar in the morning, and it'll do like acai bowls and stuff like that. And then there's a full upstairs seating area the size of a small restaurant with outdoor seating, lounge areas, big screen TV set up. There was cornhole set up out there, Jenga, Connect 4, like all branded to the Jaguars. Yeah. It was crazy. It was really, really cool.
It was.
And yeah, if you want to find the new Publix, it's across the street from the old Publix. We have you could literally stand in our one Publix parking lot right now and almost throw a rock and hit the other part. But like if you were Tom Brady, you could throw a football or Gronk standing in the other parking lot. I can tell you that right now. That's about how close they are.
Well, I don't know.
A little bit more. It's definitely more than 100 yards, but I'm not kidding. They might be a 300-yard straight shot to each other. Yeah. I mean, you can see one from the other. It's interesting, but this is, I don't, are we simple people? Like, we were so excited this morning to take the girls. We got them their Starbucks and then walked Lacey to school. And then Kaylin, you and I went into the Publix and we were so excited because it was opening day. Mm-hmm. In fact, when we pick up Lacey today, we're going to take her to the Publix. Like, it's an event.
She was almost mad that we were going. She was
not almost mad. She was a little upset with us this morning when we said we were going. So I'm super excited to take her. But like, that's an outing for us now. It's like a new Publix open. Let's go check it out. Like, I would legit hang out there. We're going to have Wonderland Crew lunch there when we have the Wonderland Crew meetup that one week. And I'm telling you. So I loved everything about this meal. The one thing that we should have probably started with, that was the ravioli.
Dude, that was
outstanding.
That's the best ravioli I've had in my entire life.
I would agree. So this was on the a la carte menu.
Yes.
And this was the engalati. It's not a ravioli. Looks like a ravioli. What was in this?
This is a butternut squash, buffalo mozzarella, aromatic, sage, brown butter, and basil for $12.
And you're talking...
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
People are just going to hate me. 5 large raviolis, right? And this right here, if you actually had this inside of Food and Wine Festival at the Italian Pavilion, this same dish would cost you $48.
Yes.
This is where I'm just so confused why they can pull off food this delicious on this cruise ship in a signature dining experience at this price, yet we can't get this in the Italian Pavilion for Food and Wine.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, for $12 for this thing, it's not like I'm saying, oh, well, this is a $40 ravioli meal. No wonder they can't pull that off inside Food and Wine. This is a $12 ravioli meal that could feed a person.
Yeah, but I mean, that was so good, and I could just eat it over and over and over.
I agree.
We tried not to because this was, again, we got it for the table, but yeah, I mean, man, like you said, if they can do it here, why can't they do that at Italy?
I agree. And again, for the price points that they're charging, because we talked about, $12 to $18 for a lobster ravioli that you get like 3 of them with a little bit of, canned sauce. And they were previously frozen raviolis in Italy. Put that on a plate. Serve 2 of those for $12 at Food and Wine, and I think it would be worth it. Yep. And I would pay for it. There's also the pan-seared salmon, which was part of the prefixed meal. This tupelo honey parsnip, roasted white asparagus, leek, baby turnip, confit, and a Pinot Noir reduction. Everything here was outstanding.
Yeah.
Like desserts, the chocolate souffle.
Yes. Well, it was super funny because when we were ordering everything, we said the chocolate souffle, and Marco was like, yes, that is basically like what you should order. And it was super funny because Caleb did get the tiramisu, and basically he was like, yeah, you picked the wrong thing. Yeah. So, which was super funny, but the chocolate souffle was fantastic. Had a vanilla bean gelato vanilla and a chocolate sauce, and you can kind of pour it in together. And
It's a production.
it was fantastic.
It was so super good. We skipped by because at this point the sun is now set. We did skip by sitting down where we were sat and what that view was at this time of day.
Oh, it was beautiful because the sun was setting, and we were on the
This is on 4th.
15th,
Huh?
14th, 13th. No, there was
Oh.
only 14 decks. 13th,
Oh yeah, I have no clue.
12.
I actually made my way around this ship, which I was super impressed by. I think it might have been
was-
12.
It was pretty much the top of the ship.
Yeah.
Because at one point we were sitting for dinner, and I knew I had my patch on and I could feel it. And for some reason, I was like, my patch is still working. Why? Please don't let me feel funny. And it was funny because I ended up getting my dirty martini and started sipping on that. And I don't know why. It just kind of, for some reason, maybe because of the olive juice in it, it just kind of settled me, and I just did feel better. And I don't feel like I felt the waters as much, but yes, we literally watched the sun set.
It was
It was
beautiful.
super cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
This overall
It
was
gorgeous.
my favorite meal of the entire weekend. It was one of my favorite experiences. I would highly recommend booking this as an add-on. Now you can try and do what we did. Honestly,
But
we took our time and had such a wonderful time.
And-
It just
And here's the downfall. We did not get to sit down at 1923.
no.
By the time, like, we did take our time, by the time, like, Marco even brought us these after dinner shots,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
for on the house. By the time we did literally be walking out of there, unfortunately, it was closer to 9:00. So we sat for a very long time at
And-
dinner.
But it was amazing
But
because it was so
We
chill and so
talked, we
relaxing.
hung out.
And this
It
was
was.
a good one, I think, for your last evening.
Yes.
Now the hard part is, and I think you could try and layer this like we did, the hard part is you don't get your rotational dining until day of. So it is hard to pre-plan for this saying, you know what? I'm not worried about 1923. I'm going to book Palo on the day I do 1923. You don't know. It could be the day
Right.
that you have Arendelle. It could be the day that you have World of Marvel, and you could book 8 p.m. at Palo, and then you have your 8:30 second seating. So it's really hard to kind of plan. Now you could certainly look at your first seating and say, well, I'm going to book a much later dinner at Palo or something.
Right.
But I would recommend this. And for the price, I
Yeah.
still can't get over that's what we paid.
Yep.
And I know we did some extra a la carte items, but that was more for like, let's really try some stuff and let's see what there is to offer. Not out of a necessity of, well, I just ate my 4-course meal and I'm still hungry.
Oh, right.
Like no chance. You're
Yeah.
not going to be hungry after this 4-course meal. So I think it is well worth the extra. Get a little fancy, have some fun.
It was.
This would end up being probably my favorite day beginning to end because of the evening where at this point, I mean, Lacey was really in tune with the app and what time things were happening.
Yes, she was. This point, she was good to go 100%.
I mean, we ended up
She-
doing trivia at the Bayou. We ended up doing another trivia at Keg and Compass, I think. We did a trivia, I can't remember, was it Luna? I believe at one point that we sat and did something. We did the game show with
Oh,
Lacey. Like
Yep.
we crammed so much stuff into that
did.
evening. It was amazing.
It
so
was. And it was funny because the kids, the one thing I told the kids was like, with going on this cruise, I'm like, y'all do whatever you want. Go find kids stuff. If you meet somebody, whatever, just make sure on your phone you have an alarm that you sit down with us for dinner every night. And I think they actually sat down to dinner with our friends
They did
because
at 1923.
because
Yep.
we were at Palo, and it was so funny. And I think that was the actual night that they both actually maybe ate a little bit
Yeah.
more, because the first night
they're
Kaylin,
feeling much better.
Kaylin was almost asleep at Marvel. And then the second night, Lacey didn't feel good. And then the third night, we weren't even there. And
But
that was
they spent so much time with us overall where
yeah,
I
they
kind of
did.
thought we literally said, set an alarm, you meet us for dinner, because I thought that's all we would see them.
Yeah. but they hung out and.
Now, I don't think they hung out for you and I think they hung out for our friends
Yeah.
who they love
No, I
more
think
so
they
than
hung out
us,
with
but
us,
maybe it was
too.
the collective. But yeah, the game show was basically going to pair up a parent and child, and there are 3 groups, and Rhonda and Lacey were selected, and it was basically like the newlywed game.
I think it should have been you and Lacey.
Probably. It was kind of like the newlywed game, where basically they're going to say, what is your favorite this? Or what? Or I'm sorry, what is your mom's favorite this? Food or something. You write it down. Lacey writes it down. You hold it up. You see if they match.
Well, Lacey writes it down. I say it in the microphone. But yeah.
So the one that everybody in the audience, I think even people that didn't know you, were shocked by was, I may have the verbiage wrong, was what Disney character would you be in a movie? And all of your friends, your daughter, and every person in that room is immediately thinking Little Mermaid, and you shout out Belle. And there was gasps in the room, especially from Lacey. She was hilarious. I have to go back and see if we got some of that on video because
it's my favorite. I want to be Beauty and the Beast more than I would be them. But I guess because of my hair,
yeah,
I look like
that's kind of where everybody was leaning. But at the end of it, if anybody was watching, they would have thought that you two had met about 10 seconds prior to sitting down, because I don't think you got. Now, to be fair, the other 2 teams weren't great as well. I think the dad and daughter that ended up winning only got like 1 right, and everybody else pretty much bombed. So, but it was hilarious.
It was.
And that's
but
what,
these were all like 12.
Yeah.
These were all
tweens. Yeah, for sure. It was super fun. And yeah, we ended the night in Keg and Compass, and I got some weird glass horn on a stand that had mead and like other juices in it. And it took me everything in my power to get through it. It took me like 2 hours to finish, but I did. It was just such a good way to end the night, but it felt very frantic because of that.
It was funny too, because I remember somebody saying that usually the boat kind of shuts down around 10, I guess, but that was not the case.
No.
It was definitely midnight or after, and this was the definite night that I think we were definitely going to bed around 12:30 or 1.
Yeah.
So, but we got everything in.
Well,
we didn't, but we did for that. We put a lot in this day.
We did. And I just remember then waking up Monday morning going, wait, this can't be right. This is over?
Yep.
And
over.
And so we're going to have breakfast at 1923 on our way out.
Mm-hmm.
We were traveling, so you and I really didn't eat, but everybody else did and enjoyed their meals.
I had some grits. They were good.
I took like 2 bites of grits. I enjoyed them. I just was like, I'm got to get in a car for 2 hours.
And I told Lacey to hand me hers, and I took a few bites of hers, and it was good. Very good.
And then, we de-embark and it's over. And so
yep.
Let's go through, because we are gonna hear from the girls, and we're gonna hear a little bit more from some friends on the ship to kind of round this episode out. But okay, what did you learn?
Oh, this was definitely. It's so funny because a couple of times Jeremy's gotten almost, I feel like, mad at me because when somebody's like, "How was your cruise?"
We always lead off.
I kind of hesitate, and I'm like, "It was a learning cruise."
Yeah.
And this is what I learned. I learned that I will need a patch for every single person in my family.
Start at day one,
just so everybody's fine, everybody feels great, and we're all good.
Even if you're not
cruise.
prone to motion sickness, it's not going to hurt you.
Right.
I will say I took the patch. This was so weird.
It's just going to do some side effects for Lacey. It really gave her some blurry vision. I put it on Jeremy. He still thinks he didn't need it, but when we went on our first cruise, and I think I said this before, he was fine that night, and I was feeling bad, had my patch on, sort of feeling better, was fine the next morning. He was green at brunch and had to go to his room. And then I gave him some Bonine, and then about probably an hour or so later, he started feeling better and then was fine the rest of the time. So I just put a patch on everyone. He still thinks he didn't need it, but weren't you happy?
Oh, no, very happy. Bad? I'm saying it didn't hurt, but it was so weird. I took it off at breakfast that morning. We drove for 2 hours, and then I remember walking in the house, and my vision started to blur, and all of the lights looked bright pink. And I was like, oh, something's wrong with me. And then I'm kind of like, all right, let me go back outside, and then came back in, and they're still kind of pink. And then I think I said something to Lacey, and she's like, yeah, it's from the patch. And I was like, oh, thank God. And within like 15 minutes, everything was normal. But it was very strange that it happened so long after. But I would highly recommend that.
Mm-hmm.
What else did you learn?
It was too short.
Yeah.
Definitely that, we need to go on a longer one. And yeah, I mean, those are the main two things I learned. And then, yeah, I think the longer, because this was shorter. So, like a longer one, I think if Jeremy wanted to do something with me that I was like, I don't really want to, but I'll do it because we have such a longer time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say on this cruise, specifically with 3 nights, I definitely could see it being longer, but plan accordingly. Like I said before, I didn't plan, I didn't research. Another thing I would say learn is make time. Make time to sit on your veranda if you have one. Make time to walk the ship. Make time to, make time to do certain things that you want to accomplish, because even to the point where it's like, I would have liked to make more time to just hang out at the bayou, but it came to a thing that was very much like, all right, we're at the bayou. You want to grab a drink? Sure. Sounds good. All right. We're all halfway done. What's next? So it was really hard to slow down because there was so much to do. So I would just say, no, you're not going to do it all. And then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't make that checklist, but make that checklist.
Yeah,
find out what's important to you and your group ahead of time, and see the best way you can to accomplish them. And anything else is just going to be bonus. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time.
You even snuck in the
Aquamouse. I did that final night. I specifically went back. I put on my bathing suit. I think it was between like 2 trivias. I put on my bathing suit. I went up there. I did the Aquamouse. It's very cool, but super unimpressed by what I thought it was supposed to be.
You and Kaylin were the only ones. Me and Lacey missed it.
Yeah.
Not that we tried.
Right.
We tried a couple times.
Oh, I know. I stood in line with you the time we tried. It breaks down a lot. I will say that.
Yeah.
So it was very, very cool. But for some reason, I thought there were going to be actual projections within the tunnel and tube as you went through on the raft. And unless I somehow missed them or they were off that night, it was you went up the conveyor belt to go to the top of the tube, and there were TVs on the side kind of setting up the story with the Mickey shorts, basically. Okay. But it was still cool. I mean, you're on top of a giant Disney cruise on a water slide. That's awesome.
Still weird.
Yeah, just kind of, know that you're not going to fit everything in, but do the things that are going to be most important to you. Did you catch the Disney cruise bug?
No.
I didn't either.
I would like to go again.
And we are.
Like to go
we
too.
Put down a placeholder to book another cruise.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that cast member did a very good job.
It still hasn't come out?
Nope.
Then we need to contact them. Yeah, we definitely need to contact them. I'll see about what we need to do for that. Okay. Because if that still hasn't come out of your account, we want to make, because there's a $250 placeholder that basically gets you a booking within the next 24 months whenever you want, and then gets you 10% off of your booking, which can be several $100 savings.
Yes.
I mean, it's
but we'd like to do it again and Lacey really wants to. She wants to do the fantasy, correct?
I think that's the one she wants to do. Talk a little bit about what we learned about gratuities. And gift cards, we'll say.
Apparently, you could pay it up front, which I had no idea, and we did not do. So then you get these cards at the end. And of course, when they're amazing, you want to tip a little more, so you can do that.
Yeah, it gives you the recommended amount.
But then it does give you the recommended amount that we did not pay up front.
Correct.
So then we paid all those. And then we used the gift card, which was super cool too, because you could go and pay off your...
Yeah, so we used our Key to the World card to do all charges.
Yes.
And then basically just before we were going to leave, I mean, much like you would do if you were charging to your Magic Band.
Yeah.
You could either have a card set up on file and it's just going to charge it.
And we did not.
Or you can go down and pay with cash or gift cards or whatever you want, which is what we chose to do. But it was nice just to have that Key to the World card.
But just know, because you didn't have anything down, like we didn't have a credit card or anything down, we were going to pay cash.
Mm-hmm.
They only allot you like $300.
Yeah.
And then once that $300 hit, like they kind of cut you off, because we were cut off on Castaway Cay.
Yep.
But they still gave it to me and they said it'll still run, but then they couldn't give me any more. And then I had to settle up with it. And then that's what we did with the gift cards and the cash.
But I mean, but super easy to do. And you certainly could just pay with gift cards along the way if you wanted. You know, and just rewinding a little bit and us saying we didn't catch the Disney cruise bug, or no way negatively saying anything about the cruise. We loved it. I want to cruise again. I just know a lot of people going to Disney cruise and they're like, you'll never want to go to the parks again. And I didn't find that.
No.
Like, you know, right now, if you said, I'll give you $4,000, you can spend it towards another 3-night Disney Wish cruise, or you can spend it towards going to Walt Disney World. I'd pick Walt Disney World in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I could see cruising once a year.
Yes.
And I think that would be absolutely perfect for me. And I think you agree as well.
Yes.
But we did absolutely love it. And like I said, we think we put a placeholder down. I don't know if we'll end up booking for 2023, if it'll wait till 2024. But we certainly are going to look at doing that again. What overall was probably your favorite thing? Like, what was your favorite maybe memory or meal or show overall for you?
I think Arendelle, and then like the pirate stuff that night. I just wish things were a little different because of Lacey and just a few different things. But yeah.
I was just going to say Sunday. Is that cheating?
Yeah.
Like
No.
just Sunday was just a wonderful, wonderful day from beginning to end. But I really did enjoy everything. Like I want to go back. I know we'd be on a different ship. We wouldn't get to do it, but I could see going back again to experience World of Marvel again, you know, and we're still in the inaugural season, you know, things are going to develop and change as time goes on. So I think it'd be neat. I think it'd be neat to go back and go, you know what, maybe we are only doing a 3-night cruise, but we're going to devote it much more to relaxing. You know, it's so funny because so many people say, all right, if you're doing a split between Walt Disney World and a Disney cruise, you always do Walt Disney World first, because that way you come off of this hectic, crazy, frantic trip and then you go on a cruise and relax. I'm like, what cruise are you going on? Because for me, I'd almost do it the opposite. Now, probably because we're veterans at Disney World, so it's easy for us to relax at Disney World.
Yeah.
But for us personally, I would do the cruise first and then I would do Disney World. Do you kind of agree?
It depends. How many nights are you talking? If you told
Just say
me
3 and 3.
Oh, then I'd want to finish with Disney World.
Yeah.
But if you were like a 5-night Disney cruise, I would say
I would just want to go home.
Yeah.
But I could see doing like 2 nights at Disney World prior to that.
Yeah.
And then going on a cruise.
Yes.
But on a 5-night cruise, I think you're going to find that time for relaxation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Whereas you just can't on a 3-night.
Right.
So if you're doing 3 nights at Disney World and 3 nights at a cruise, I would go cruise first and Disney World second.
Yeah, it always cracks me up when they're like, it's a 3-night, 4-day. I'm like, all right, let's be honest. Remember, we got on this cruise at like 1:15. I think we had drink in hand about 1:30. And then we were getting off after we ate breakfast at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
No, 9
a.m.
because I was watching the time because I was working that day.
Right.
And then Lucy and Caleb, they didn't go to breakfast, so they were off at like 8
or something.
7:38.
Yeah. So you get 2 full days, 2 24-hour days, basically. So, I mean, it almost is like a 3-night, 2-day cruise. Okay, so that's enough from Rhonda and I, because if you listen to last episode and so far this episode, you have heard us go on and on about the Disney Wish for 2 hours. So we are going to bring in 2 very special guests. That is our daughters, Kaylin and Lacey, to hear their thoughts a little bit on the Disney Wish. So girls, welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so we are going to do not necessarily rapid fire, but we have a list of a few things we want you to give us your thoughts on. And we're going to first start with Kaylin, what were your overall thoughts on the ship? And this, I don't remember if we prefaced it, was the girls' first ever cruise at all.
Mm-hmm.
So what were your overall thoughts on this Disney cruise and this giant ship?
The ship was beautiful. I really liked all the little details and stuff. It was really pretty.
Lacey, what did you think, like, overall, your first ever cruise, walking on the ship in general?
It was really cool because like there was like a bunch of like rooms and it was just really like big and like pretty and all that. And like I loved like the like almost ballroom type when you walk in.
The big giant atrium when we first came
Yeah,
in?
that was really cool, and I really like how there's always characters around, but it's a really pretty ship.
Lacey actually is going through getting braces. So if she sounds a little lispy, she has an expander in her mouth right now until she gets braces. So just
And the poor thing can't eat a lot.
I know. My poor baby. What did you think of the room, our stateroom when we walked in, Lacey?
Honestly, it was a little small, but I really liked how there was these separate bathrooms, like how there would be a toilet room with a sink and then a shower room with a sink too. And I mean, there wasn't that much space, but I mean, it was a good room. Like, I liked the bunk bed part. I slept on the top bunk the whole time, but yeah.
I think that goes to show how spoiled you guys are with where you get to
Yeah.
stay.
A little bit.
That you thought there was not a lot of room.
Well,
Kaylin, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting that what's it called? The bunk bed was like very like specific. Like when you went to dinner or breakfast, they'd put it up, and when you went to dinner, they'd put it down. Like, well, what if I wanted my bed during the day, or what if I wanted the couch during night?
You would just make that request.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're going to pretty much do whatever you
right.
need. What did you both think of having
Also,
the veranda? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
also, the whole room was magnetic.
Yeah.
Like, the whole entire room.
Yeah, it was cool, huh?
We talked about that earlier, I think, in the last episode about like bring magnetic stuff. Even if you wanted decor, but we were like bring hooks or towel bars. So veranda or balcony,
Yes.
did you enjoy having that?
Yes, it was very cool just sitting out there watching, like, the ocean, watching us, like, depart from the land and, like, not board, but, like, dock on, like, in the Bahamas and in Castaway Cay and all that. It was really pretty, and I just love, like, open ocean, and that was really cool.
I liked it, but I think it was very much like every time I'd look out or step out, I'd get a little bit more nauseous than before. But other than that, I thought the views were great.
Well, I don't think I mentioned this in the episodes, but I did on the ship. I was a little bit worried about being up that high and like feeling a little uneasy. But then I realized like 2 decks below, there was another platform. So if I fell off, I'd probably just break something really badly, but I wasn't going like 7 stories down right onto the top of the water, which would have been like smashing into concrete. So it made me feel a little bit better about being out there, I think. Girls, we'll start with you, Kaylin, this time. What was your overall thoughts on the food?
The food was honestly really good. I liked a lot of it.
Yeah.
It was perfect. There was a lot of variety. I liked a lot of it too. I like the food and drinks selection.
And drink selections?
Yeah.
What is drink selections for a child? Or, I'm sorry, a teenager.
A little bit minimal, honestly. Of course, they don't have any sort of Pepsi products or Diet Coke. I don't think actually. Wait, they might have had Diet Coke.
They had Diet Coke.
Or no. I meant Oh my gosh,
like Dr.
Pepper.
Yeah,
That's what
you're
meant.
going straight Coke
But
products.
yeah,
so you do
they
have
have
to remember
Coke
that part.
and Sprite and all that kind of stuff, which is nice. But if you're not, like, I do sometimes wish Disney had Pepsi.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Well, maybe you can work on that contract for him someday.
I don't think so.
Lacey, what were your overall thoughts on the food?
I loved the food, especially the chicken tenders, but
we put out on Facebook and said, what is like a question you'd want the girls to answer as far as the food goes? And Rachel did chime in. I was going to save it for later and said her question was, how many chicken tenders did Lacey eat?
Did you eat all of them?
All of the
yes,
tenders?
all of them. But the fries were actually so good.
Yeah.
Like, they were really, like, they were just so good. I mean, I think that they were better than McDonald's. They were like McDonald's fries, but just, like, better. I don't know how to explain it. But also, I love how there was on the 12th floor, or 11th, I forgot, the Marceline Market, was it?
Mm-hmm.
How you can just always go up there and get basically free food. Not really free, but
It was free to you, kid.
Yeah. But I really liked all the food at the restaurants too, but I would probably book the Avengers campus place or the Avengers restaurant for the first night just to really get it over with.
Well, the problem is you can't.
Yeah.
They stick you
Oh.
into that rotational dining, but we talked about that we felt like we lucked out with that first night because
Yeah.
none of us were very impressed with that evening, unfortunately.
Were you really happy you didn't have the expander in your mouth for the boat?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would
Poor
say
thing.
if you have any way of planning a Disney cruise, do not have your child in an expander.
Or braces.
Yeah, or
maybe.
braces prior to that, I would think for sure.
Yeah. All right, girls. So
Mhm.
next, the activities.
Okay.
Kaylin, what did you think?
I liked the activities. I feel like sometimes it was hard to plan, but it also wasn't. I don't know. I think it was a lot about like my how I was feeling at the moment. But no, I liked the activities. A lot of them were very cool. They had like trivias. I love trivias. They had the drawing ones and all of that. I think they had a good selection of activities.
Yeah.
And what did you think, Lacey? Specifically, I think as it pertains a little bit to the kids' clubs, because we had talked about, we thought we were pretty much going to get on the boat, and I'm sorry, you guys do not like me to call it a boat. We're going to get on the ship, the cruise, and we weren't going to see you guys at all, which is why we specifically said, set an alarm, meet us for dinner. You guys spent a lot of time with us, but Lacey, I feel like
Which we
you
loved.
spent, which we absolutely loved. But Lacey, I feel like you spent more time in the kids' clubs because you saw a few activities in there specifically that you wanted to do. Tell us a little bit about your experience with Kids Club, and did you ever make it to Hero Zone?
No.
Okay.
I didn't really want to just because like I prefer being with my friends more like that I actually know. But
You know, that's what we discussed and we were wondering. So did you
Yeah.
guys hang around more because of your mom and I or because of our friends that were with us?
because of you guys.
Oh, that's
Probably-
really sweet.
Yeah, both.
But yeah, like I saw like the crafts and I wanted to do the crafts, but I didn't. It was just like I don't know. I just don't really like being around like I don't know how to explain it. I guess like I don't really like being around like cast members when my parents aren't here, I guess. I don't know why.
Okay.
But also like I also really liked the trivia, and that was probably my favorite part. And like there was like a how well do you know your kid and how
Yeah,
well
how
do
did
you know
that
your
how did
mom?
that go? How was that?
God.
I'm just gonna say I'd rather do my dad next time.
Wow.
This is sounding very familiar to a conversation we had just a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is too funny.
I mean, I said that you'd probably be better with him too, but
Mhm.
Now, Lacey and I guess Kaylin, both of you can answer this. Let's just say we had gone with a group that had your friends and kids your ages with you. Do you believe you then would have spent more time in the kids clubs? Or do you think you all would have still hung around the adults?
Oh, like if we brung friends?
Yeah. If you had a friend with you, if Addison was with us,
Yeah.
would you two spend a lot of time in the kids club and then it
Yeah.
would have been like, peace, see you later?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would want to do next time, maybe.
Okay. What do you think, Kaylin?
I wouldn't say we'd spend it in the kids club specifically, but definitely we'd probably be doing our own thing. a
there
lot
were
more
teen
often.
things, not
Yeah.
just
Well, yeah.
kid
I
clubs.
did want to do the Hero Zone too, but I never got the chance because I really heard about what it was, the like second to last or last day.
Yeah.
and
What
I
was
just
it?
wasn't it like obstacle courses? or
Yeah, it was
something?
Yeah.
I wanted to
I
do
walked
that.
through
I
it.
really wanted to, but
we
I
didn't
just
mean to
never
walk
did.
through it, but we did.
But
It
That was when
super
we were
funny.
coming out of the Cove
Mhm.
pool bar area that, we actually walked through it.
Yeah,
And,
I wanted
it
to
looked
do
pretty
that,
cool.
but I didn't. I didn't get to see it. And it's probably for the better.
Yeah. All right, we'll start with you, Lacey. What were your overall thoughts on Castaway Cay?
It was so cool. There were like fish in one part of the water. It really scared me, but like I don't like swimming in open ocean, but that was pretty cool. But like there was like this obstacle course thing like out in the water where I couldn't touch, and it was just so scary. Like there was also these slides, and it was really scary because like I wasn't like swimming with anybody, and it was like really dark. But Yeah, there's a lot of activities to do there, and I like how you can get on the boat and then or get back on the cruise or ship or whatever, and then get back on the island if you want to, and like switch out and stuff. But I wish we could have done the banana boat maybe next time.
Yes, you
Yeah,
were very pressed on the banana boat.
Yeah.
We'll look at it next time for sure.
Yeah, like there was snorkeling and stuff, which looked pretty fun, but I was really wanting to do some of like the boats and stuff. But we got some floaties, and apparently there's a stingray around, and I got almost stranded for like 15 minutes because I didn't want to put my legs in the water because I thought I would get stung, but it was really fun.
Kaylin, thoughts on Castaway Cay, and more importantly, thoughts on paddleboarding?
Oh, hold on, sorry. Before I had to add one more thing. So the little obstacle course almost thing in the middle of the water, I wish it was more of an obstacle course, but it was mostly wooden, and there was like a thing where there was like a straight rope across where you could like climb on it and like try to make it as far as you can. And then there was like these monkey bars that you could also do, and I made it pretty far on the rope. And then there was also this like it was like a spider web thing, like one of those things, but like hanging on like the top, I guess, that you could also do. But I did not do that because it was like far out, or like it was more far out, and there was like seaweed under it, and I did not want to do that.
That sounds like me.
I'm sure it would have been deep though, and you probably wouldn't have touched.
Yeah, you'd have been fine.
It was very deep.
All right, Kaylin.
I will say Castaway Cay is the actual, like, there's a lot of walking that you have to do, like a lot of walking.
Yeah.
It was. We should have stopped at the first beach, like Lucy and Kayla.
Yeah. No, we at one point I had thought I left my glasses or like my sunglasses at our spot after we had moved everything. So I had to walk all the way back, which was about like 2 beaches down. And then found out they were not there to come back with Dad having sunglasses on his head and his shirt.
Yes.
So
I'm prone to do that.
Yeah. Anyways, enough about the walking. The paddleboarding. Oh, and also the island's very pretty. I really like the island. The water's beautiful.
Yeah, the water
Love
is
it.
so pretty.
The paddleboarding. I had a lot of fun. I will say that the grip on the paddleboards, you might want to bring some gloves.
Yeah.
Because I think it was just like the friction and the water, and my skin was all like wet and stuff, that the way, because of how I was paddling, it was rubbing skin off, and I still have scabs.
Yeah.
So
So some sort of gloves,
Yeah.
or maybe even bring maybe you could bring Band-Aids or something and just go ahead and put them on prior.
that'd be
Maybe.
Something
smart.
like that
That'd be
to
very
help. Make
smart.
sure, of course, they're waterproof. But yeah, so you guys absolutely loved Castaway Cay, right?
No, yeah, the paddleboarding was
Yeah.
fun though. It was very hard to turn around though.
How many
fell
times
twice.
did you fall off?
Twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's probably about 1/10 of the times I would have fallen off. You do the math on that one.
So,
20.
girls, what was your favorite restaurant? Kaylin, go ahead.
I don't know, because for me
Or we could say favorite dining overall. You don't have to include
Okay.
just the 3 rotationals.
Okay.
You could include Marceline Market.
Then I would
Mickey
say
and Friends.
Marceline.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, me
Really?
too.
I'm gonna be
Oh, both of
honest.
you.
Really?
Wow.
I'm gonna be honest. Marceline and all those other places had a lot better options for me personally, rather than when I was looking at the menus for everything else.
Yes.
I wasn't able to really look at the menu for Marvel because I was very sick in my like head, not like sick illness. Just
Well,
very queasy and very.
Yeah. This is when you took some Bonine and
Yeah.
I put a patch on you,
Yeah.
and you somehow got a little overdosed and couldn't get up on Saturday until noon.
Oh yeah, that was oof.
But this is where earlier we talked, and this was a learning experience. So the next time we will put patches on everybody before we even leave.
Yeah.
So,
Well, okay, well, here's a question then. If you both are agreeing that like Marceline Market was your favorite as far as food goes for you, right?
Yes.
Obviously there are experiences involved with the 3 rotational dining. Would you, but the food maybe wasn't your favorite or enough options. Would you say for maybe your ages, you don't want to miss the experience of Arendelle World of Marvel? Do you then go to Marceline Market prior, maybe fill up a little bit more?
Yeah,
so you're not
honestly.
so worried about eating the food at the rotational dining? What do you think of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Okay.
What was your favorite experience?
100% Marvel.
Me too.
Really?
Oh, that was actually your favorite experience.
Just-
food aside.
With the screens, spoilers alert, with the screens showing different clips from all the different Marvel movies, I really liked it.
Okay.
The show was okay, but the atmosphere, the way it was
Awesome.
shown, I really liked Marvel. The food I heard was bad, and I don't think I would have really gotten anything on the menu. But Arendelle, for me, I mean, if you like Frozen, yes, you would love it.
I do like Frozen.
I loved it.
I'm like, I don't know, it wasn't my favorite for some reason. I don't know why. I just it was okay. And then of course the other one, 1923 doesn't really have any, but when I did see the little cases of like animation work and
You
stuff,
loved that?
oh, I loved that so
Yeah.
much.
Awesome.
Yeah, speaking of Frozen, you know who your mom and I are going to see
Oh my
perform at the
goodness.
Candlelight Processional?
Who?
Josh Gad.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. How cool is that? All right. So, so Lacey, do you agree though that like what was your favorite then show, Lacey, as far as
Same World,
World
of
of Marvel?
Marvel, yeah.
Okay. But you agree maybe
Well,
fill
you
up a little bit at
missed-
Marceline Market?
Yes.
She did miss half
because-
of Arendelle.
But also, the chicken tenders at World of Marvel were great. But yes, I did miss Arendelle because one, I could barely see, and two, I didn't feel good, and I went back and got a little bit sick. But let's not talk about that.
Okay. We don't have to.
But Marceline Market, I mean, Mickey and Friends, it's like a barbecue. Like, there's nothing that I really wanted.
It was
Um,
pizza.
I know, but that
They have chicken
the
tenders
pizza
and
was
fries
not
there.
that good.
You didn't like the pizza?
Not that much.
I enjoyed it.
I didn't like the
It was
ice
like
cream there.
really.
Really?
Are you serious?
No, I didn't.
That's why I almost picked Mickey and Friends because of the ice cream. But also at Castaway Cay, there was like ice cream machines, and it was so good. The strawberry ice cream was so good. But anyways, the Mickey and Friends pizza, the Daisy's pizza, I did not like that much because I don't like thin pizza like that, and there was
Oh.
like barely any cheese on it, and I didn't like it that much.
All right.
But
It's very fair.
yeah, Marceline Market is just has so many options. Like there's a whole kids place with mac and cheese that is delicious.
Oh, that mac and
And-
cheese was outstanding.
hmm And there's like a whole like regular food or like traditional American food, and then like there was like Chinese food, and there was like seafood and all that, and it
Yeah.
was just such a good like selection of foods that you could have and all that.
Yeah. What was your favorite overall activity? At the very end, you had to pick one activity to do again. It's probably not the game show with your mom.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Do you want to go first, Kaylin? What was your favorite
Yeah.
activity? Looks like you're ready to talk.
I do trivia.
Trivia?
Definitely.
Me too.
Okay.
But it'd have to be a
It's just so
specific
fun.
trivia.
Yeah, like maybe like there was a Disney quotes one that was impossible. It was so hard.
Yeah, that one was really
Oh,
hard.
because y'all went to
And-
that, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. And there was also like an Ultimate Disney one that was really hard. But if it was like maybe Marvel, that would be.
Oh, I was
Yeah, you
cool.
missed
literally
out on
just
our
about to
Marvel
say
one.
that.
Yeah.
Wait, there was a Marvel
Yeah,
one?
we did a Marvel one with Lucy and Kay.
Oh right, and
my
you missed one
goodness.
question.
One question.
I should have been there.
We were so
I would have
close.
gotten it right.
Maybe you
I'm just
would've
kidding. The
gotten it.
question, no,
Yeah.
I remember the question. It was like something about a T-shirt. I would not
Yes.
have
Yeah, it
gotten.
was Duran.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was what what was it the one, what Bruce Banner was wearing?
Yeah, what Bruce Banner?
Mhm.
Yeah, in Ragnarok, that we borrowed Tony's clothes. And it was
I would not
Duran
have gotten
Duran.
that.
I
My
think we
bad.
went with AC/DC, didn't we?
Yeah.
That'd have been much more Thor.
I would have
believe.
went on Nirvana.
Nirvana. That wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah, that
Time
would
to
not
do
have made
things.
sense.
All right, girls.
Final
question.
Final question.
from your mother.
If you had to pick between a cruise or the Disney parks, what would you pick, Lacey?
I'm sorry, but I just have to say this: cruise all the way.
Really?
Because-
Really?
I know you're like no, because you get seasick, but I don't care. The cruise, it has way better cast members, way better service, all that. Like,
Whoa.
nothing can compare except Coronado Springs. But,
Wow. Okay. So, Lacey, would you like to go on another cruise?
yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, the Disney parks, the rides are cool, but there's a lot of walking, and at the end of the day, my feet just hurt. And it's so cool because on the cruise, it's not like, because you can like go off on your own if you're like old enough and responsible enough, and you can just like, if you say to your parents like, I'm tired, I'm gonna go back to the room, you just can.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so cool because it's like your room is right there, and
And you had your
also
own
have,
key to the world.
and you also have like your own activities, and there's a lot of activities. And overall, I would definitely pick the cruise.
Wow.
All right, Kaylin.
I think I know Kaylin's answer. Kaylin's probably just like, just leave me at home. I don't want to do either. What is your answer? You have to pick one.
Yeah, no, I know which one I'm gonna pick.
Okay.
The you said you don't care when you get seasick during the cruise.
I do, but I'd rather not.
You think the trade-off is worth it, though?
You think it's
Yes.
worth
Is
it?
what you're saying.
Personally, I got not so sick, but so like it was a little bit of sick, but enough of a sick where it lasted, which made me feel like I couldn't do much because I was quote unquote sick. So it felt like a loss.
Okay.
Like I don't know. And
That
I
makes
just
sense.
personally, I'm not a fan of cruises. Going on that, I realized I am not a cruise gal, and I would much rather go to a park.
New shirt coming, not a cruise gal.
That's funny. Yep. Not a cruise gal.
Okay. I don't know if we'll give you a choice, but will you do the next cruise with us? Especially if you don't overdose on motion sickness medicines.
And listen, we will get the prescription prior, and when you put it on, it does make a huge difference.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see. We do have a new one planned in a sense, we think. We still got to go back to that placeholder thing and contact them and make sure that we've got that opportunity. But we are definitely doing another Disney cruise, as we had discussed before. But girls, thank you for joining us and giving your opinion. I think it's very important for people with, kids, especially of your ages, that are looking to go on a Disney cruise or maybe have one coming up. Now, we're not done yet. This probably should have been a 3-part episode.
Oh my goodness.
Because we are now going to hear from our wonderful friends that joined us on the cruise. And Steve, Rachel, and Lucy are going to give us their top 3 takeaways from the Disney Wish.
Hey guys, it's Steve. I just wanted to send over some thoughts on my highlights reel for our Disney Wish cruise. So in no particular order, things that I felt really stood out were the fact that it felt like you were walking through an art museum, no matter where you were on the ship. They put such fantastic effort into having different styles and different mediums represented. Every deck through the stairwells had artwork representing a different film. The collection in 1923 was just mind-boggling how much beautiful stuff they had in there concept art-wise. Those fantastic Joey Chu murals, that giant Cinderella tile mosaic that's in the atrium, they just really went out of their way to represent Disney culture, but in a beautiful, beautiful way. The next thing that really caught my eye was the abundance of activities. There was always something to do, whether it was, a mock game show or a trivia challenge or learning to draw a character or going to see a movie or on the island and doing a 5K or snorkeling or the stingray thing. There was never a point in time where there wasn't an option of something to do. And I mean, I know that we didn't even take advantage of a third of what they were offering, but we always had a great time going to those trivia challenges and things like that. I mean, it was not only that they were there, but they were fun. The last standout for me on the Disney Wish was the live entertainment. Disney has a history of putting out these high caliber Broadway style shows. No change in that with the Little Mermaid and Aladdin on this ship. That tradition continues. But where they've really stepped up the game is the inclusion of live musicians elsewhere. The Pirates Night Deck Party has, on previous sailings, been a pre-recorded, canned musical track, and that was fine and it was entertaining. But the fact that they brought keyboards and drums and electric guitar into this deck party basically turned it into a rock and roll concert on the top deck of a ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and that was really cool. But the tour de force on the live entertainment had to be the performances during dinner at Arendelle. And entertainment-wise, hands down, my favorite standout of this entire cruise was the three-piece instrumental cover of Into the Unknown that they finished that entertainment at Arendelle with. It was just so good.
Hey guys, it's Rachel. So here are my top 3 things I loved about cruising on the Disney Wish. Number 1 is definitely the cast members. I love the cast members on board, especially our cabin steward, Putu, and our servers at dinner, Pradeep, Ifran, and Evo. They were super friendly and attentive. They made us feel so welcome and comfortable and went out of their way to make us feel super special during the cruise. Like always, cast members absolutely rock. Number 2 would be the variety of activities that were offered on board the ship. They had so many things to offer, like trivia, shows, karaoke, parties, and of course, character meet and greets. So many things. But if you just wanted to chill, you could do that too. Although we were traveling as a pretty big group, there were 10 of us, we all took the time to go off on our own and do what we wanted. Some people went and saw the Little Mermaid and Aladdin shows, which I heard were really good. I obviously didn't go. Our group also did a lot of trivia, which was super fun. I went to a drawing class to attempt to draw Donald. Let's just say that it looks like Donald, but maybe a little scary. The last night, we also sat in and sang along during karaoke. I almost ended up singing A Whole New World with our friend Kim, but by the time she had convinced me to do it, there were no more spots left. That's probably a good thing, though. That being said, if you were to go on one of these cruises, I have no doubt that you and your party that you're traveling with will find something that appeals to each one of you. The third thing I would say that was my favorite was the Senses Spa. I actually got a bamboo massage at Senses Spa on the last night of our cruise. It was for 100 minutes. This is definitely not included in the price of your cruise, so it is extra. Massages aren't necessarily cheap anyway, so no shocker that the price tag on this was a little up there. However, I wanted to do it as a late birthday present for myself since I've done massages at Disney World before at the Senses Spa at the Grand Floridian. This was absolutely an amazing massage. My masseuse asked me before we started if there were certain areas I wanted her to spend more time on. I asked for extra attention on my calves, lower back, and feet because I feel like those are areas for me I usually feel more tension sometimes. I also added on an extra foot exfoliation, which left my feet feeling extra soft and feeling like pillows. It's pretty darn sure I felt so relaxed that I nodded off a few times. I love the pressure she used, and the bamboo tools she used added an extra firmness and pressure to the massage that I thought was fantastic. I love a deep massage, and she did not disappoint. It was totally worth splurging on, and I absolutely have no regrets about spending the money. I actually do have one more thing that I really liked about the cruise. Sorry I couldn't keep it to 3. But I would say I really liked the variety of food that was offered on board, especially at Marceline Market and the Mickey and Friends Festival of Foods up on Deck 11. Plus the room service that you could get 24/7. We would get it in the middle of the night, probably, I think almost each night we got something just because we could. It was super awesome. And I also may have hit up Deck 11 for soft serve and pizza more times than I'd like to admit. Overall, it was a great cruise and experience, and I'm happy I got to do my first Disney cruise with my friends. I can't wait to book my next one. I'm hoping to do another one next year. Lastly, if you guys are interested in hearing more about my experience aboard the cruise, follow along on my Instagram. It's Rachel Does Disney. That's RACHEAL Does Disney. I would love for you guys to follow along with me. Later.
Hi, Main Street Magic listeners. This is Lucy Cantrell. Just sharing with you guys some of my thoughts about the Disney Wish. My husband Caleb can't join me, but we really had an absolutely incredible time on our cruise with the whole Main Street Magic crew. Jeremy kind of asked us to think about our top 3 things from the trip, and it's going to be really difficult to narrow it down, I can tell you that much. Honestly, my number 3 favorite thing would probably be the day we spent at Castaway Cay. We took a Disney cruise in June of 2016, and the weather on our Castaway Cay day was actually really cloudy and rainy and just not great. So I felt like on this trip we got some good redemption for that. The weather was beautiful and we just had an absolutely perfect day in paradise. My second favorite thing would probably be the paid dinner that we did at Palo. Marco was our server. He was absolutely phenomenal, and the food, drinks, everything were top notch. I cannot recommend Palo enough. I will probably not do a Disney cruise in the future without going to Palo. It was that exceptional. And the number one thing I think that really resonated with Caleb and I both about this experience and this trip were the cast members. Disney cast members have always been excellent. They provided a level of service that you can't really find anywhere else. But due to the nature of a Disney cruise, the cruise ships are a little bit smaller. You see the same people multiple times in a pretty short span. I just feel like the level of service is really, really excellent. And you develop those relationships and you develop those kind of bonds with these cast members in a very short amount of time. And everyone from Putu, our room steward, to Pradeep, our server, to Javon, one of the bartenders, like everybody that we encountered remembered us when we came back and just provided a level of service that was second to none. So those are kind of my really quick condensed thoughts on this trip, but all I can say is we had a phenomenal time and we will definitely be booking another Disney cruise soon. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thanks, guys. That was amazing. I loved it.
And I like there's some overlap.
Yes.
With everything that they said.
Yes.
And I apologize that we only left them to 3 each. Rachel did
Sure,
go
they
for
could
4, but I know they both could have gone on and on with all of this. So I think this is probably enough.
Yeah, this has been a long episode.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any other way to wrap this up.
Other than we
appreciate
will
you guys.
do another cruise.
Yeah.
And we will put it out in the community if you would
Yes.
like to join us. Yeah, that'll be so fun.
What I would like to do for the next one is a lot of what Dish on the Wish did, and Lynn and Jim and Touring Plans, is to really get a big group, and we can try and plan this, with plenty of time for others to join, and go ahead and create a weekend. Even though we just said there's way too much to do, we'll go ahead and add even more fun stuff
Absolutely.
for you guys to do. But we'll look at doing maybe a 4 or 5 day, and we would love if you all could join us very, very much. That would be incredible. Thank you, Rhonda, as always, for all of your wonderful input.
Thank you.
This has been a lot of fun talking about this, and I am excited to get back. I am excited to do another Disney cruise, and maybe in the future we do another cruise line. Would you do other cruise lines after this? That's actually the last question I want to ask. You would not even, would you consider one?
Okay, maybe with a bunch of friends on, I think people say a Royal Caribbean is good.
Yeah, or Norwegian.
Something.
I think it's supposed to be pretty good.
I don't know. Princess? Is that one?
Princess, maybe. I don't know. Y'all let
I
us
don't know.
We do have some folks that have been on many other cruises other than Disney, but yeah, I'm definitely sold on Disney cruises, even if I don't want to do it all the time.
100%.
I will say that.
1000%.
Very excited to do it again.
Yep.
Thank you guys for listening to us drone on and on. We're so thankful for our guests that came in to break up the monotony of Rhonda and I talking about this cruise as we worked our way back through that weekend. If you have not done so already and you want to get new episodes every Tuesday and Friday that are not just about cruises, they're all about Walt Disney World and beyond, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We would also love it if you could leave us a rating and review,
because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got after 2 hours.
We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.